And now, the SleepHawk Worldwide Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brandon Staton and Tyler Hansbrough.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the SleepHawk Worldwide Podcast. This is Sleep Dog with the big hug.
What's up, everybody? It's the Big Hulk. Hey, excited to do a podcast with you, Pod.
Yep.
Wow. I'm excited to do a podcast with you, Sleep Dog. Been a rough day, a lot of travel, but I'm happy to be in the studio with you and to do this pod.
It's been an interesting day. LIV and the PGA. I mean, where to begin? So we were delayed a day, and thank God, because that shit just fell in our lap. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the NBA Finals. We will talk about Simeon Wilcher decommitting from UNC. We'll figure out who he is and why he left and where he's going and what that means for Carolina. We'll figure out basically zero of that. But LeBron to the Mavs, could that actually happen? Couple other things. There's some decent stuff out there. We're going to get back to our roots too with a cookie review. So stay tuned, but we'll jump right in on, dude, let's go LIV Golf first.
Mm-hmm.
LIV and PGA. So I'm driving down the road this morning. I get a group text from you breaking the news, which was interesting. That LIV and PGA Tour out of nowhere are now aligned in a for-profit organization. I tweeted out that means a pimento cheese sandwich at Augusta is going to cost $24 next year. I mean, this is a historically bad look for the PGA Tour. I have no idea where this came from. When I read the story, it had just happened so much that there wasn't even a story about it. It was just a whole article was basically like, hey, this just happened. No clue where this is coming from, but it's weird. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's the best thing to happen to golf since Tiger Woods had his run when he was in his prime. Golf is boring. Not a lot of people watch golf. It's hard for people to get into golf. And when you do go watch golf, you usually fall asleep. So this adds a little bit of drama. This also adds a little bit of clash of some of these guys have been talking smack. Hey, you know what? I'm going to be, this humanitarian model, and I'm going to put my foot down. No, and they came out. Rory came out. He was against LIV. He said all these things. Listen, what Phil did and how LIV and the PGA merged, this is a good thing. And I don't think the PGA Tour could keep up with LIV Golf financially. The Saudis have too much money. And at the end of the day, these guys are going to make more money. It's going to bring more attention to golf, and it's going to create more rivalries. Does it look good from the outside? No, but a lot of business doesn't look good. And I'm not saying you sell yourself or sell all your morals just because there's a lot of money involved. But I don't see why this is, this doesn't change. The Saudis have done a lot of bad things, but they don't. I mean, I think this was just a matter of time before it was going to happen.
What do you know formally about what's going on? Can you explain anything beyond the fact that they're merging, or have you read anything else? I get that they're for profit now, but you mentioned Phil and a couple other people. Like, have they said anything else about?
I have not seen anything else. I just know that the stance that the PGA Tour took was a hardline stance. And some of these independent tournaments where both the LIV Tour and the PGA guys could come together, the PGA guys didn't really show up. LIV showed out. They had a lot of guys coming in there winning, a lot of guys in the top spot. Phil actually had some good rounds, came out there. Tiger was limping around like a wounded. He was not looking good out there. And so I kind of like this drama.
Yeah, I think it certainly makes things interesting. I don't know if it makes golf any more exciting. I don't know if I'm going to stay awake because Dustin Johnson's back. It's like I said, like you said, it's an insanely bad look because of the optics of the PGA, lobbing all these claims over here about, these humanitarian issues and those sorts of things. And then less than a year later, dude, they come back in the other direction. So I don't know. Sure, could LIV outspend the PGA? Okay, sure, yeah, but I don't necessarily know that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you were necessarily going to be able to, just continually take away. Look, they took away some of the best players from the PGA, and I've never seen a LIV tournament. Never watched, and I don't care. Like I'm not like anti or anything. But the thing I saw was LIV's taking all these guys away, and I wasn't one side or the other. I mean, I'm just going to watch the same amount of golf regardless, and I'm going to watch whatever, they didn't take away any of the players that I was like necessarily all that excited to watch. So clearly there's some, financial interest there, and maybe the PGA just really realized that they put a dent in their pocketbook. I mean, that's got to be what the case was. But the weird part to me is like, if the PGA realized that, hey, LIV's really got something and it's damaging our business, then on the flip side, like, why is LIV so eager to make that deal? Like, why wouldn't LIV try to crush them? Maybe they understood that they had a lot of, structure, nostalgia for a fan base that's largely American. The European tour is also part of this, I think I read. So, that's the part that I guess over the this has got 30 for 30 written all over it, dude. This is a damn Netflix document. That Full Swing was a snooze-a-thon. The quote unquote last dance of golf was awful. Mm-hmm. So maybe this makes that better. I agree, man. It adds an element of intrigue. It adds like some drama. The problem is like, I just don't see that translating to the golf course, right? Like I don't see, look, they already had, what was it? The US Open, where those guys were playing together, and Koepka almost won the damn thing, or didn't he? I mean, he did, right? So like nobody fought on the, nobody got a fist fight on the court. That's what I want to see. I want to see some dudes on the PGA and the LIV, like some of these YouTube videos I see of some bros or some old dudes out in some random ass golf course that have had about 44 beers on the front nine, just throwing haymakers at each other on the 11th fairway. Like, until that happens, golf is golf, dude. It doesn't matter. Honestly, other than Tiger Woods, in my opinion, everybody else is equal in terms of watching golf. Like, there's Tiger, and then all the rest of us are in a bucket. Because who gives a fuck? Here's the question I'll ask you. What would be more entertaining to watch on TV, besides, take Tiger out of it, all right? Everybody else play in the Masters, or me, you, Cam, and Dan play on television in the same exact tournament? What would be more entertaining?
I think if you took regular golfers and then you put them on a PGA Tour course right before the professionals or the tour players got out there and played the tournament, and you just followed them around and they had to strictly play by the rules and play the same tees, I think that would be great. I think that would be better coverage.
I think you let them play it exactly the same way. And go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you. I got a thought on that.
You know how it is. I mean, I think the professional golfers just have such an advantage because they have the crowd there to help them find their ball. Also, around the greens, a lot of them have a backboard where you can just shoot it long, bank it up against the board, and then rolls right back onto the green.
How many times have you been to a professional golf event where like the hazard or like the pine straw is like pine cones and sticks and shit? Like it's pristine everywhere.
Yeah.
Every shot, unless you're just buried, is a good lie by comparison to a lot of courses I play.
Yeah, and I would tell you, Sleep, I think I would shoot better under those circumstances than if I were just to roll up to Findlay and play from the red tees.
Here's what I think should happen. Forget playing from the tips and by the rules. I think the TV coverage should just be like a regular fucking round of golf that dudes go out there and do. You know, you got the one guy that's going to try to cheat. You got the one guy that says it's a gimme from 8 feet. You got dudes that like, and then of course add the people in, right? Like, so now you got old Sleep Dog, you know, trying to hit a just burner out of the pine straw underneath some limbs that are hanging down with a narrow tube of people on either side of me. I mean, dude, that's made for TV. So that's my point. All right. Is like, and I'm dead serious about that. Like, I think like Barstool's tried it with foreplay and all that sort of stuff, like creating some, dude, getting regular people on TV to play. Everything is about like pros. And then there's these TV shows where these guys are trying to become, no, dude, I need guys out there. I need a random foursome that shows up at the tee box and they've maybe two of them know each other, right? It would be gold. And that's my point, again, is that other than Tiger, golf is not entertaining. No. It's interesting. It's intriguing. Like, I watch golf, right? Going to golf events, really, you can appreciate, it's very similar to hockey, in my opinion. You can appreciate how good these guys are and everything that they do. Right. But on TV, dude, it's just not. So that's my point, is that LIV and PGA and the WWE playing golf, it doesn't matter. Right. It's just golf. Like, unless they come up with some sort of different structure or some kind of fireworks, like, I don't think it makes a hill of beans to me, but something's going on, man. I think there's some sort of conspiracy or some sort of dirt flying around somewhere, because this is just like an inexplicable backtrack in terms of, this is like the worst take, or the worst, I don't know, this is the worst look in like the history of civilization.
So where would you rank golf? Is it your least favorite sport to watch? Do you think golf is the most boring sport?
It's getting worse, I think. That's the thing. It's like, for me, it's Tiger, right? Like, I mean, I'd rather watch golf than.
What about baseball? Baseball versus golf.
That's exactly where I was going, man. I need to give a baseball game a shot. The thing about baseball is like, yeah, nah, I'd watch golf for baseball these days. But you know, like, here's the thing. Would you rather watch a playoff baseball game on TV, like a good one, you know, maybe a World Series game or something, or the Masters?
World Series.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, everybody's gonna freak out when we say that. Like, of course I watch the Masters. I like watching the Masters, but the Masters is less about like what's going on. Again, this is a post Tiger Woods world. Tiger Woods, dude, fucking, that might have been the best sport to watch on TV. But without him at his prime, there's just nobody else that gets you that excited. I mean, dude, Scotty Scheffler is playing great. Brooks Koepka, he's playing great, but like, who cares, man? Those guys they aren't playing great enough. Like, Tiger was killing everybody, and that was just fun to watch. So I'm with you. Will I watch the Masters? Absolutely, I'll watch the Masters every single year. But it's not because I'm like on the edge of my seat. It's just because of like what it represents, which is like nap time, you know, piling in my eyes. You know, maybe can cook on the grill here soon, like shit like that. And there's just nothing that I can see that's gonna, you know, I don't understand what this bond does for either side. Besides make the PGA force them to, I mean, this is maybe their only opportunity to get back what they lost with a lot of those guys leaving. The part that'll be interesting to me now is like, where does the money go? Do the guys that went to LIV and signed those contracts, did they have a short window of opportunity to go get dumb money, right? And now are things going to sort of come back to earth, right? So now are your better golfers that just stuck it out, because now you have one entity that has to pay everybody. You know, I'll be really interested to see how that works. You know, what are the purses like? You know, the best thing golf did was start doing these like 2-on-2 deals where they let, you know, sort of your other athletes in, and you have all the access, and they're talking to each other, and they're making bets, and they're, you know, those were fun when they were still novel, but then they started trying to force that, right, with all these random pairings and groups and stuff like that. And sometimes it was interesting and sometimes it wasn't. But I don't know, man. It's intriguing story. I'm interested to see what more comes out in the coming weeks about why this happened.
Yeah, I'm interested too. I also want to see more of the details of how this happened, because to me it seemed like the PGA wanted nothing to do with the Saudi back LIV tour, and now all of a sudden everyone's on the same page. I don't know. I want to know how long they've been talking as well. But Sleep, I know we didn't put this in our notes, but I played in a big pickleball tournament this weekend.
Ooh.
And me and my brother, we played okay. We didn't play as good as we want. Just like golf, you'll never be as good as you want. In pickleball, just like you are in golf, you're never as good as you want. There's always something that you can improve. And it was a really cool event because we follow pickleball pretty closely. And this was a big tournament. It was in Dallas, Texas. And it's one of the only sporting events where I've been to where you can be playing on one court and then the professionals were on the center stage and playing throughout other courts as well. And so I thought it was really cool because I've never been to a sporting event like that. And just like golf, pickleball challenges you mentally because you have to make the out calls on the other team. There's some close calls, and I play with my brother, and team chemistry can be tough. How you talk with your team, what your strategies are, and mentally can really mess you up just like golf. But there was a big Tar Heel fan that actually was there that is a very good pickleball player that watched all my games. He had Coach Williams on his paddle case cover, and I had no idea he was going to be there, but I was sitting in the tent next to him, and I said, man, you're a Tar Heel fan? He's like, oh, absolutely. And so we started talking, and he came to my games, and he'd give me tips and really helped me and my brother, but we always had these internal battles with each other where one small thing, it's just like it's the hardest thing in the world, they say in pickleball, is to play with your significant other. He plays with his wife, then he plays with me, playing with your friends or your family, whatever, your wife, like it is hard. And so we hit that wall where he said something, then I said something, blah, blah, and just internal battles. And it was a fun weekend, but man, that sport is growing. And the interesting thing, one of my favorite stories in all the sports was this tennis pro wasn't really doing good in professional tennis. And so one weekend he goes to Walmart and buys like this cheap paddle. And then he just shows up to one of the biggest stages in pickleball and just destroys everybody in singles. And so now this dude has become a really, really good pickleball player. And on Sunday, he was playing in singles in the championship game against Ben Johns, who is the number one pickleball player in the world. And it was just really exciting to watch. But that sport is getting more money. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder how many of these guys who, are trying to make it in tennis just convert over to pickleball and just start to try to dominate that sport. I mean, it is growing out there, and I'm fully addicted to it. I'm trying to work on my game, but there's a lot of skill and strategy besides just hitting it as hard as you can across the line.
Do you think LIV sent those dudes back so they could get in on pickleball? Is that the next step for
I would love
LIV?
I just don't think that the LIV money is going to be in pickleball. But if it is, we're talking about, guys, buckle up, because pickleball is going to be on
Hulu
ABC.
Before you know it.
It's going to be Championship Sunday. I think
it's going to be on DEF. That's what it's going to be on.
Yo, I'm telling you, that sport is more entertaining than golf.
Okay.
It's worse. The best players in the world, they are fun to watch. It's
ping pong's very fun to watch too for about 30 seconds.
These guys that play ping pong, man, it is crazy their hand speed. It's just like that in pickleball.
Dude, so all right, pickleball. Are you and Ben like nationally ranked, or what's the deal?
No, we're not nationally ranked. We're improving rapidly, but we've hit a little bit of a ceiling where there needs to be a little more strategic and tactical moves on our behalf, but my brother is just an absolute banger. And what I mean by that is in pickleball, there's a lot of soft shots and it's a lot of finesse, and he just likes to plow through and just tries to overpower everything, which when you get to the higher levels in pickleball is very difficult to do.
Yeah. So how's it divided? Are you guys playing skill levels? Like, is it like
so
tennis where you get a numerical
right
grade
now,
or?
We're in between the 3.5 and 4.0s, which if the 5.0s is as high as you can get is pretty much an amateur. But the guy who came to our and watched our games, I think he's between a 4.5 and a 5.0. He's a very advanced player. He knew his stuff. Joel was amazing, and maybe I was talking to him. I was like, "Hey man, maybe I'd be your partner in a couple of these tournaments." I don't know if he thought I was serious, but I was being dead serious. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely taking the world by storm. It's interesting to me that it's like, dude, I used to live at the beach, and there was this old dude that lived next to me that's made a pickleball court in his driveway. And this guy was, he was not healthy. Nor was he athletic. And so it's just always been interesting to me how, pickleball is taking the world by storm when it's like, wasn't that a sport just old people used to play? But hey, man, it's definitely getting big. I'm trying to get out there and maybe pick around. So yeah, I don't have any idea how the rules are played, but it's like, I don't know where you find a pickup pickleball game. But I mean, hell, there's all kinds of places.
North Hills.
North Hills. Yeah, there's all kinds of places building pickleball. Might turn into a pickle pod segment. But yeah, I mean, dude, for those of you who don't follow Big Hawk, man, he's going all over the country. I mean, the reason why we're, it's unsteady sometimes is because I don't ever know whether Tyler's playing in the PPA, the Professional Pickleball Association, or what, or what state he's in.
Hey,
damn,
by the
dude,
way,
you go all over the place play that shit.
UNC has a pickleball team that won the college pickleball championship. So we have a very good pickleball team as well. And Colin Sheik is like I went out and watched him play. He's ranked in the country. He plays for UNC's pickleball team, a really good player. So all you guys should check him out as well. He's exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think I saw that in prime time the other day on I was trying to find the Super Bowl and pickleball.
It was on ESPN.
Yeah.
It was on ESPN.
At what time? 3 a.m?
Sunday afternoon, buddy.
Sunday after 3 a.m, Sunday afternoon somewhere. Anyway, yeah. I mean, speaking of UNC, let's get into this before we jump over to the NBA Finals. Something that really is prime time. Simeon Wilcher, this kid's supposed to come to UNC. Announces today he ain't coming to UNC. Presumably it is very cryptic. Hey, thanks for the opportunity to play in the ACC. Well, what opportunity? You didn't play in the ACC. Kid's from New Jersey. He's 33rd ranked in the country. I think he's forward, small forward, shooting guard, whatever. Now he's not coming. I care less about what that means for UNC. Like I've said, dude, I haven't followed any of this because this stuff is so just out there that all I really care about is, what's going to happen when the season starts. But I mean, this is just what a weird time for Carolina, man. Everything just seems like the roster, everything's up in the air. I mean, how the hell would you handle this kind of obviously, I know what you're going to say to a certain extent. Is like, hey, man, you got to come take care of business, go to work, leave out the outside noise. But there's still like roster spots to fill. And I mean, it's not like we're 8 months from the season starting. I mean, presumably these guys are going to get on there and get some run in over the summer. And there's guys that they don't even know who they're going to have on the roster yet. I mean, how do you deal with it? I don't know. I mean,
I'm not
just
concerned.
you know.
I mean, I feel like this happens every so often. We get somebody and they're like, "Hey, no, I changed my mind." It happens. Now, I mean, we wanted Simeon Wilcher, but I don't know what his reason is. It wasn't really clear why he's not coming here, but he has decommitted. We are not going to get him. That is very clear. They made a public statement. I'll be interested to see where he decides to go and why he decommitted if they do go public with that. But he's out, and if I'm a teammate, I really don't lose much sleep over this. I'm just, it's one of those things where I'm like, all right, done when if I can come. All right, so let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. And I guess it's probably a little bit helpful, the fact that, he's not here yet, right? So you don't know what you're getting out of him anyway. And I mean, let's face it, like, he's a big recruit. We were glad to have him, but it's not like he was LeBron James or Wemby or whatever. Who knows? Maybe he's going to play pro pickleball or some shit. So anyway, he's not coming. All right, Tar Heels, it's just not going to happen. So who cares? Next in line, mount up, and let's figure out what team's going to look like a little closer to the season. I ain't spending any more time on it. NBA Finals. Okay. I called a sweep. About 3/4 into the damn game one, I was like, there ain't no way. I mean, the Heat may never even lead in this series. The Heat are like plus 90 in the fourth quarter in the NBA Finals. I mean, in the NBA playoffs this year. They are like... Speaking of fun to watch, you just never know. And they're about to get Tyler Hero back. Hero's supposed to play tomorrow. All of a sudden, they're going back to Miami. They did the unthinkable, won a game in Denver. Do you think they got a shot?
No. I said 5 games. I'm sticking to 5 games. Listen, I think Denver's too good, and I thought they would steal a game. I didn't think they would steal one in Denver, and the thing that kind of worries me right now is that Miami keeps improving, and they keep proving people wrong. They're an 8 seed. They're going against a 1 seed. There's no chance. This shouldn't happen. They don't have the talented players. They're playing with a bunch of undrafted guys. I know Tyler Hero's coming back, but you can't expect him to be the player that he was mid-season. He hasn't played in a long time. He's been out the whole playoffs. He's going to be a little rusty. No, I don't think so. And I think the Nuggets are too powerful, too big, too athletic, and too talented. And I think Jokic is the best player in the world right now. I don't think they have an answer.
Well, the answer is, of course, they have a shot.
No.
Right? I mean, they won a game on the road against the better team, and they're going home where they have a huge advantage to play 2 straight. So, of course, they have a shot. I'm the guy that just said they would get swept. But, dude, I don't know, man. Like, they are well coached. They are very well coached. And Jimmy hadn't even played good. So, the thing that I am intrigued by is, like, you get Hero back. That's got to be a morale boost in the locker room. Adebayo's playing out of his mind. You got Kevin Love and Zeller are underrated in turn. I mean, they're 2 perfect guys to just throw at Jokic. Now, dude, I mean, come on. Jokic is the best player in the league by far. So it's not like either of these guys are going to stop him. But they're both veteran players with size, with experience. Love's case, championship experience, right? So, like, they're smart players too. Adebayo's playing incredibly well. You got all these role players that are shooting the ball well. All they got to do is hang around. So, I mean, I don't know, man. In that game I saw, they got a lot of guys with a chip on their shoulder too.
Yeah,
I mean, they know everybody feels that they don't have a shot. And I think that means something, man.
No, I agree with you. You can definitely see the chip on their shoulder. They are well coached. They play hard. And there's a part of me that says they're not really guarding Adebayo. I don't know what it is. Jokic is kind of staying back on them, so they kind of want him to score. It'll be interesting to see what type of changes Denver makes in Miami. But yeah, you're right, Sleep. They're playing in South Beach. That if you're going to the NBA Finals, you want to go watch the games in Miami because, let's be honest, Miami versus Denver. Miami is a much better city, so they have that going. But we will see, Sleep Dough. We will see.
They got a great home court environment, man. The funniest thing to me is like about late in the first quarter, it really starts rocking because that's when everybody gets there. And then what I always love about watching Miami games is in the third quarter. I mean, due to the NBA Finals, you guys watch tomorrow night. The game's on tomorrow night. You guys watch about the first half of the third quarter. It'll look like nobody's there because everybody's still out there, and they got like a club or something in there. Miami's a wild place, dude. You see some interesting shit
Crazy.
there. But yeah, I still, to be fair, like I still think Denver is easily the team to beat. But all of a sudden, a lot of these guys that rose to the occasion, Aaron Gordon's not playing that great. Michael Porter Jr. is not playing that great. Jamal Murray's not shooting the ball that great. Even Jokic in the last game, he only had 4 assists, right? So obviously you feel like these guys can turn it around. But you got one team trending in one direction and another team that I wouldn't say is trending down. I wouldn't say Denver's trending down. But they definitely seem to be like stabilizing. And it's almost as if, dude, Eric Spoelstra is a good fucking coach. And that matters in the postseason. You know that a hell of a lot better than I do. And so, I think that staff has a strategy. They know that they have to execute a game plan more than just going out and, beating these guys, because I think Denver's the better team. So that's the part that I think is fascinating. And it is, again, it's everybody talked about how like boring that series would be. I think we even talked about that. But if you like basketball, like if you're a real basketball fan, like this is a great series to watch because, all the little shit matters. Trying to think through the rest of these topics we got. Speaking of little shit, I'm gonna go there. All right. Speaking of little shit, Steve Kerr was on Draymond Green's podcast like yesterday, the day before yesterday, and dude, he threw some pretty thinly veiled shade. Like he kind of doubled down on this whole thing about attitude. I think that Poole and Kuminga are gone. Like if I were a player, I don't give a shit if I'm a rookie or not. And my coach, dude, I lost a ton of respect for Steve Kerr because first of all, like, why are you on a podcast essentially like gossiping a little bit? I get that it's your player and you're trying to support him and all this sort of stuff. Did you see or hear about what happened?
No, I did not.
So he basically, the story had already passed about how, he was saying in some pressers about how, guys got to be ready to play and they got to have the right mentality. And he was like singing praises on somebody, I think, from Miami that kind of quote unquote stayed ready. And when he got the opportunity to play, he played well and all this. And he's just like, dude, it is not, you cannot argue that he's throwing shade at players on his team. And as a coach, like, all right, forget whether he's right or wrong. As players on his team, I just don't understand how the coach is going on one of the players' podcasts, essentially talking shit about the other players, one of whom is Jordan Poole, who the guy on his podcast was got his shit knocked out of him by the guy who's hosting the podcast, right? Like, how are you supposed to, like, I think they're gone. I think what Golden State's going to do, Bob Myers is out of there. I think they're going to trade away. They're going to ditch this young, they call it the two-path system, right? They're going to ditch this young, win later, build for the future, and they're going to dump those guys and try to win now. And the interesting thing to me is like, who are they going to get? But dude, go in and watch it because Steve Kerr is like, he's ostracizing some fans, man. A lot of people's knock on him is that he can't develop people. Or he's not willing to develop young talent. And I've said this before. Like, if I'm Steve Kerr, I understand that, right? Because you're held accountable to win now, especially with one of the best players of all time on your team and a hell of a supporting cast. Like, so he's probably sitting there thinking, hey, everybody wants me to win now, and they want me to do two things at once. So I get it. But the problem is like, I think that's why Myers left. I think that the organization decided, because we were talking about this, like, why would he leave? And I think that the organization realized that they had to pick one side or the other. And there's only one obvious choice, right? If you've got great players that can win championships, dude, you do that, right? You can't put one foot in the water and then, mess around with having Steph Curry for 3 or 4 more years. I mean, you got to capitalize on that. So I get it.
Yeah, Steph's clock, his clock is ticking too. I mean, he's getting older and he's on the timer.
But I just don't understand the way Kerr is going about it, man.
No,
I don't understand why you're
either.
out just throwing shade at your team.
It is kind of surprising. I'll have to look into it. Steve Kerr, one of the most respected coaches in the NBA, accomplished a lot, and he has a very good reputation in the Bay Area. So it'll be interesting to see why he said that, and if it's a pointed comment to one of his players, which I can tell you, coaches can do that if they're having a hard time getting through to players.
Yeah, I just don't know how you're going to get those guys back and have them motivated. Because
I agree.
Essentially, you're talking shit about them, and you're the reason why, with Kuminga especially, right? You talk about him not being ready. Dude, he didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
He got you into the playoffs, and you abandoned him.
And also, I think he was on a short leash. It's hard as a backup and somebody coming off the bench to really establish himself if the first mistake that they make, they're yanked. You can't play timid. You got to be aggressive. You got to play your style, and you got to be able to help the team. And if your coach is looking for a mistake or puts you in sporadically and then pulls you out as soon as you mess up, that's hard to do.
God, I hope they move him. I hope they move him somewhere awesome. I hope they send him to Miami. All right. You guys know what time it is. The real G's. Speaking of real fans know what time it is. It's cookie review time. So Big Hawk told me, we were like, we got to get back in the cookie review. So Big Hawk, I'm like, what do you want? Let's get cookies. We're in 2 different locations. He says, get Chips Ahoy. So I said, all right, man, I got Chips Ahoy. Big Hawk, what are you reviewing?
I'm reviewing Coconut Dreams from Keebler.
Not Chips Ahoy. Dude,
Not
hold
Chips
the box
Ahoy.
up
Guys,
from the camera.
Those did not last long. I'm sorry. But I am excited.
Dude, let's look at that package.
I know a Chips Ahoy cookie well enough where I don't need to have one in front of me to give it an honest review. But for the sake of the podcast, I'm going to do a review of a different cookie, Coconut Dreams Keebler, which is one of my go-to cookies, Sleep, and I'm excited to talk about this one.
I've never even heard of them until this pod. So hold them up in front of the camera so we can see this packaging, bro. I know why you bought these because they ain't expensive. Look at those things. You used to think Keebler was good because of the marketing, right? Because you were a kid and there's elves in a tree, and now those things just look like. I'll get some different ones.
They've packed it in. But Sleep, this is, I mean, they do the, it just simple.
When's the last time you saw a Keebler Elf commercial?
Haven't.
Used to be the best commercials around, man.
Oh, yeah.
Little elves cooking cookies in a tree. And now, damn, man, shit going downhill, but they're still printing them. And that's exactly what they're doing with those cookies. They print them. They don't bake them. Corrugate looking.
Does it look familiar?
It does. Looks like a Girl Scout cookie.
100%. Just
you know what the worst kind of cookies in the world are?
Cookie.
Girl Scout cookies. All right, go ahead, dude. Meanwhile, while the chew-a-thon is happening, old Sleep Dog followed the instructions given to him by Big Hawk and original Chips Ahoy, which I was not super excited about because, like, dude, everybody knows what Chips Ahoy tastes like.
Listen, Sleep, I want to talk about the Chips Ahoy cookie.
And they're getting smaller, dude. This is one of the problems with the world, dude. Is Chips Ahoy cookies ain't been this size for forever, dude. This thing's about the size of a $50.
But I want to say something about that. You can eat 45 of those cookies in one sitting and not have it's not too rich. You can eat 45 of those things, Sleep Dog. So that is right up your alley. And listen, you can polish.
No, I like volume.
You can polish off a whole box of Coconut Dreams by Keebler too. So Sleep Dog, these two cookies are right up your alley. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5. And this is,
Bless
listen,
America, dude. You lost your rocker,
dude. Guys,
pickleball.
I'm telling you, the Coconut Dreams by Keebler, it is a
Your brain's turned into a
giant.
pickleball.
This thing is an amazing cookie. It is soft. The ending has a touch of crisp. There is a bottom of it with the fudge chocolate kind of feel, but not too much. It's not rich. And then in between, it's a soft caramel, caramel, and then the coconut just vaguely hits you, and then it's gone. Amazing cookie, just like the Girl Scout cookie. Guys, go out and get this. This is amazing. The Chips Ahoy, I'm going to give that a 6. And on a 1 to 10, it's a 6 because it's just plain Jane. It's just, okay, you know what you're getting, but you can eat 45 of those cookies in one sitting.
Not if you ain't got a damn glass of water, you can't, because I'm already about to dry.
Well, hey, you're going to need some water. You can, what you can do is you can put them in a bowl, okay, just like cereal as well, and then pour the milk in there, crush them up, and then just, it's cereal.
All right, bless America, dude. You know, you're turning into an old person. Like, I'm older than you are, but like pickleball and those cookies, bro, those are two things old people like. I'm eating these Chips Ahoy, man. They taste like dust. Like, I'd imagine they taste like the inside of King Tut's tomb, dude. These things are drier than an engineer. So I'm giving these things a 3.2. All right. Yes, you can get them in volume, but it's false advertising because the second you try to go in that fourth one, make your throat hurt. And I'm not lying. So, you know, the chewy ones, we could have gone there and maybe that would have been a different story. 3 of these cookies is 160 calories, which is less than I thought. One Krispy Kreme donut, for reference, has 190 calories. Those of you need to know. Yeah, Chips Ahoy, dude. It's like, doesn't do anything for me, man. I feel like they're fake, you know? So, not a fan of the Chips Ahoy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm about to eat the rest of this box when I get done. Like cookies, chocolate chip cookies and chocolate chip cookies. Like, even as bad, it's still pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, Nabisco, come on, get it together. Give me one like everybody now does like a home style or a, you know, grandma's oven or something. There's some kind of marketing shit where they just like put extra something in it to make it a little softer, bro. Like, I mean, these things, buddy, I could win a rock skipping contest with one of these sumbitches. So anyway, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, you know, if you ever need to break a shard off and like open a box or something, you know, you got them lying around the shelf, like go get them. But that's where we're at. So I've never had one of the old lady cookies. I'm sure they're 3.2 also. But Big Hog loves 8.5 is real strong.
That's on the Keebler. That's the Coconut Dreams. I said 6 on the Chips Ahoy. These are strong cookies.
Like Katy Perry. Anyway, all right. Well, to each their own, buddy. Next thing you know, we'll be eating those sugar cookies in that blue tin next podcast. Big Hog have gray hair next time we see him. Anyway, man, well, NBA Finals Game 3 is coming up. You know, we'll be figuring out. Shout out to the Tar Heel baseball team too. Great run. Didn't quite get into the super regionals, but I followed along on that a little bit. And shout out to the dude that won the pickleball title, man. Good for you. Football's coming. You know, but so is summer, dude. We're about to get it in. Like a claw till we fall somewhere this summer. So, you got anything else, Big Hawk?
Stay safe.
Stay safe.